Let's take a look at today's headlines from Houston. I'm Cheryl Mercedes. We're getting a first-hand look at a wild and dangerous police chase that ended in a shooting outside a Southwest Houston middle school. It happened last month when officers tried to stop a man in an SUV armed with a rifle and wearing body armor. Len Cannon has more on the intense moments that followed.
Mid-afternoon on Wednesday, May 7th, near Orem and Stancliffe, HPD officers approach a white Cadillac Escalade. Police say they'd encountered this vehicle and the driver earlier while working undercover with the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force. They're looking for someone else, but say they watched this guy, identified as 54-year-old Walter Howard, leave his home wearing body armor and a tactical helmet and drive off after a verbal confrontation with the undercover officers. Minutes later, officers approach Howard as he's pulled over.
It's a traffic stop. Roll down your windows for me, please.
But he takes off. Dashcam video picks up the pursuit that follows, with officers repeatedly trying to use a pit maneuver, bumping Howard's SUV. Watch as he narrowly avoids a vehicle right outside Audrey Law Middle School. The chase happening just a couple of hours before school lets out. Officers' cameras then show a rifle pointed from the window of the SUV. Within a minute, gunfire rings out as officers close in. From another angle. Police say in all, 4 officers fired their weapons as Howard once again sped away before crashing into a ditch.
Take your vest off!
Officers later took him into custody. They say Howard was hit, but the body armor seen in this photo, along with a rifle, likely saved his life. HPD Chief Noe Diaz saying at the time, officers had a hunch something was not right and they took immediate action.
We have nearby schools. We're behind the school now, Lawson Middle School, so we can't take anything for granted nowadays.
Now, Howard is in custody facing multiple charges in an incident police say could have ended much worse.
A family is devastated after a man shot and killed his wife and their 7-year-old son before turning the gun on himself. Our Troy Kless spoke with the Houston Area Women's Center, and they told him tragedies like this are a public health crisis.
The Harris County Sheriff's Office says this apartment unit behind me is where a double murder-suicide occurred on Saturday morning. I spoke with the Houston Area Women's Center, who says that this tragedy is part of a larger public health issue. The Harris County Sheriff's Office says a 42-year-old man shot a 43-year-old woman and their 7-year-old son before killing himself.
You know, it's so unfortunate that we're here again talking about yet another incident in which innocent lives were lost.
Celinda Guerra is Director of Hotline and Crisis Intervention Services with the Houston Area Women's Center, saying it's important to recognize behavioral changes. The Sheriff's Office stating there were possible signs.
We have talked to some of the family members of the deceased male. It's our understanding that there may have been some growing mental health issues, specifically some depression.
Because we should never excuse, violence. Nevertheless, these are certain contributing factors that we see.
Guerra says it's important to have those difficult conversations before any potential violence escalates.
And that there are organizations like ours that can help guide them through these difficult conversations, help them understand.
Another difficult talk is with survivors. The couple's 19-year-old daughter and her boyfriend were here when the shooting occurred.
What do you say to them to get them through this situation?
So first of all, for any survivors that are out there, we want them to know that they are not alone and that this is not their fault and there are support services available.
And the Houston Area Women's Center has resources for families and survivors. You can find them in this story on KHOU.com. In Katy, Troy Kless, KHOU 11 News.
Houston police say a suspect left them the biggest clue he could following a violent robbery at an ATM. They released this video of an incident from May 28th. An ATM technician was ambushed and robbed while servicing a machine near Hobby Airport. Some cash and a getaway car were later found in a nearby neighborhood, but the biggest clue was bond condition paperwork left in the pocket of clothes he tossed. That paperwork helped identify 23-year-old Seth Body Coles.
I've been around a long time, but I've never seen a suspect leave their bond conditions. Thank you, Mr. Suspect, because maybe, if we hadn't have left your bond conditions, we might not have known who you are.
Records show Body Coles has a criminal history, including a stint in prison for evading arrest. Cardinal DiNardo is back in Houston after returning from the Vatican, where he took part in the conclave that elected Pope Leo XIV. Ron Trevino caught up with him at the Chancery office downtown, where they talked about the new pope, world politics, and retirement.
A lot of memories. Here's a mother of pearl image of me when I was first named a cardinal.
That's a younger you.
Yeah, the years, they go by.
Tell me about it. For Daniel Cardinal DiNardo, a lot of memories, but fresh on his mind, the conclave in Rome as he took part in the vote. Cardinal DiNardo, what kind of pope do you think Pope Leo will be? He was on the phone with Putin this week. What do you think he told Putin on the phone?
My suspicion is he said, peace is really essential. Do something to calm down the violence.
But this pope grew up in America, and there are plenty of issues here the Pope can weigh in on. Do you think we'll be hearing any kind of pronouncements or comments from him about what's happening in America right now?
Everybody's eyes are on him because he's an American, even though he hasn't been in America for a while. So my thought is he'll be careful about it. Some people will say, when's he coming to the United States? I hope he comes soon. But I'm not convinced that America will be on his first countries list.
As far as his interactions with Pope Leo, DiNardo says he can't really talk about that.
Any discussions I would have had with him would have been right before the conclave, and I'm not supposed to speak about those things.
Of course. So much of the conclave is shrouded in mystery.
Yes.
Do you like that?
It's probably a good idea. One of the mysteries is you're not supposed to talk about some of the intense discussions that go on in the conclave, for good reason. Everybody can speak frankly.
But you're looking forward to retirement.
I am.
As for DiNardo himself, it's on to retirement.
Well, this is my new office, but it's much smaller, but it has everything I need.
Explain this to us.
Well, you have these kind of things here. When you're born and raised in Pittsburgh, it's in the water.
Perhaps we can forgive the Cardinal since he grew up there.
We didn't like the Oilers, but the only team we really despised were the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, the whole world's like that. No word on what the White Sox fan at the Vatican has to say about that. Ron Trevino, KHOU 11 News.
That's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Cheryl Mercedes.